Now the topic is, now I have to deal the topic scalar and vector. Scalar and vector. This is my topic. Now I have to study topic scalar and vector. स्केलर एंड वेक्टर से हम शुरुआत करते हैं. The scalar is a quantity which has only magnitude. It has not direction. The scalar is a quantity. Scalar is a quantity which has only magnitude. Only magnitude. Good. It has not direction. The scalar is a quantity which has scalar is a quantity which has only magnitude. It has not direction. It has no direction. The scalar is a quantity. Scalar is a quantity which has only magnitude. It has no direction. ना आपको समझना है कि स्केलर है क्या. स्केलर क्या है? स्केलर एक ऐसी क्वांटिटी है जिसके पास केवल मैग्नीट्यूड हो, उसके पास कोई डायरेक्शन नहीं होता है. इसका एग्जाम्पल हो जाएगा वर्क, एनर्जी एंड पावर. Work, energy and power are the example of scalar quantity. The scalar is what? Scalar is a quantity which has only magnitude. It has no direction. संत इसका एग्जाम्पल क्या हो जाएगा? Now the example of scalar quantity is what? इसका एग्जाम्पल हो जाएगा इसका एग्जाम्पल क्या हो जाएगा? इसका एग्जाम्पल हो जाएगा वर्क, एनर्जी एंड power. The example of scalar quantity is what? The work, energy and power are the example of a scalar quantity. This quantity has all this quantity has only magnitude. All this quantity has only magnitude, and they have and have no direction. No direction. The scalar is a quantity which has only magnitude and have no direction. An example of scalar quantity is work, energy and power. Now we'll start vector quantity. vector quantity. The vector quantity is what? The vector quantity is a quantity which has, the vector quantity is a quantity which has both magnitude and direction. Right? The vector quantity is a quantity. Vector quantity. Vector quantity is a quantity which has both magnitude and direction. इसका एग्जाम्पल हो जाएगा force, velocity, and displacement. The example of the vector quantity is what? Example of vector quantity is force, velocity, and displacement. The vector quantity is a quantity which has both magnitude and direction. तो इसका एग्जाम्पल हो जाएगा फोर्स, इसका एग्जाम्पल हो जाएगा फोर्स, वेलोसिटी एंड डिस्प्लेसमेंट. तो all these three quantity has magnitude and direction both. So all these three quantity all these all these three all these three quantity has all these three quantity has both magnitude and direction. All these three quantity force, velocity, and displacement has both magnitude and direction. The vector quantity is a quantity which has both magnitude and direction. A vector quantity a vector quantity a vector quantity A is represented by what? A over arrow. This is the physical representation of a vector quantity A. This is the physical representation of a vector quantity A, and is the arrow represents direction. Here arrow represents the direction of vector quantity. Here arrow represents the direction of a vector quantity, and its magnitude is represented by magnitude of and the magnitude of vector quantity and magnitude of vector quantity A is equal to what? Mod of vector quantity A. ठीक. The magnitude of vector quantity A is equal to what? A of magnitude of vector quantity A is equal to mod of vector A. This is the physical representation of magnitude of vector quantity A. Now we will study here scalar product of two vector. Now the scalar product of vector A and B. Now we will study here scalar product of vector A and vector B. The scalar product of vector A and B the scalar product is represented by the scalar product of vector A and B is equal to what? Mod of A vector multiplied by mod of B vector cosine of the angle between A vector and B vector. ठीक? The scalar product of vector A and B vector is equal to mod of A vector multiplied by mod of B vector multiplied by cosine of angle between multiplied by cosine of angle between A vector and B vector, that is the theta. This is the scalar product of vector A and vector B. Right? And the scalar product of vector A and vector B is always a scalar quantity. Now note down this. The scalar product of two vector is always a scalar quantity. Okay? The scalar product of two vector is always a scalar quantity. Okay? If two vectors, if A vector is perpendicular to the vector B, that is the it is the angle between A and B, that is angle between A and B vector is 90 degree. ठीक, तो if a vector is perpendicular to the b vector, then the angle between a vector and b is 90 degree, then their scalar product is, then we will evaluate here, then we will calculate here the scalar product. Then what happen? Then scalar product is equal to what? Mod of a vector mod of b vector and cos of then scalar product is what? Scalar product is equal to mod of a vector mod of a vector mod of b vector multiplied by cosine of 90 degree, and cosine of 90 degree is what? 0. Cosine, the value of cos of 90 degree, value of cos of 90 degree is 0, then scalar product is 0. Then scalar product is what? Then scalar product is equal to 0. दैट्स नो वैल्यू, तब 0 जाएगा। ठीक, तो यदि दोनों वेक्टर एक दूसरे के परपेंडिकुलर हैं तो उस केस में वेक्टर प्रोडक्ट स्केलर प्रोडक्ट क्या हो जाएगा? 0 हो जाएगा। यदि दोनों वेक्टर एक दूसरे के परपेंडिकुलर हैं तो उस केस में cos ऑफ 90 डिग्री की वैल्यू 0 हो जाएगी और स्केलर प्रोडक्ट क्या होगा? 0 होगा। तो ये केस हमारा है। दूसरा ये केस होगा कि तो if vector a and b are collinear then what happen? So if vector a and b are in the same direction, collinear means what? If vector a and b are collinear means if a vector and b vector are in the same direction, then the angle between a vector and b is 0 degree. ठीक, if a vector, similarly कह सकते हैं if a vector is parallel to the b vector, if a vector is parallel to the जैसे हम कह सकते हैं कि सेकेंड केस क्या है? if जो है if a vector is parallel to the b vector, then angle between them is theta is equal to 0 degree. It means scalar product is equal to what? Mod of a vector into mod of b vector cos of 0 degree। तो cos ऑफ 0 डिग्री की वैल्यू क्या जाती है? इसकी वैल्यू 1 होती है। तो cos ऑफ 0 की वैल्यू 1 होती है। इस वजह से क्या हो जाएगा? स्केलर प्रोडक्ट जो हमारा होगा उससे देन स्केलर प्रोडक्ट जो होगा उस केस में स्केलर प्रोडक्ट जो हो जाएगा, स्केलर प्रोडक्ट इज प्रोडक्ट ऑफ देयर मैग्नीट्यूड। ठीक, तो इफ If A vector is parallel to the vector B, if A vector is parallel to vector B, then angle between them is 0 degree and cos 0 is equal to 1. Hence, scalar product is equal to product of their magnitude. In that case, we can say yes. Take this. This is the end topic.